All right. Are you pretty much putting most of your eggs in Amazon's basket, I should say, like many sellers are, or you have a lot of eggs in Amazon's basket? And the good thing with that is they bring you a lot of traffic. You can get a lot of sales. You can build a business very quickly. But the issue is you are playing in someone else's sandbox and you have to play by their rules or you will get kicked out of the sandbox. And that's no fun. So, to help you stay within the rules of the sandbox, so to speak, is Cynthia Stine here from eGrowth Partners, and she's well known in the industry. So if you've not heard of her, she's a valuable resource to tell you how to keep a good, safe account with Amazon. So to get started, Cynthia, let's go ahead and just get right into it. What are the things that can get someone in trouble, so to speak, with Amazon?
Well, sometimes it seems like a shorter list is what can't get you into trouble with Amazon. Um, but basically, with Amazon, it's all about the buyer experience. And so they want to make sure that their customers, that be you and me, have a really, truly excellent experience. And so the kinds of things that get sellers in trouble are either like performance issues, like if they're merchant fulfilling their goods, but they're not getting them out to buyers fast enough, or if they're damaged a lot, or they're just not having a great experience. There's a performance issues, or product quality issues. So maybe the product isn't as great as you think it is. It's got a lot of defects, or maybe that it's getting beat to heck during shipping. And so by the time it gets to the buyer, it's like, good grief, did this go through a washing machine? And so those are like product quality issues, and tied into those product quality issues are safety issues. So it's not just, does that hand lotion look like it's been beaten up, but is it made with approved ingredients? Is it safe to use? And so that's also part of product quality. And then the other ways that people get in trouble is with with policy violations. Okay, so a policy violation is where you you violate your terms of service with Amazon, and Amazon has a seller code of conduct that it wants us all to live by, and it says, okay, don't be mean to each other, don't cheat, don't manipulate reviews, don't really things that are not so shocking in the sense that you would think most people in business would actually want to and have no problem following these.
Right.
But I see people get in trouble all the time. And a lot of them relate to deceptive business practices or really just evil seller on seller bad behavior. So those are the kinds of things that Amazon goes after. And what they do is they create an algorithm for everything they want to enforce. And so we always know in our consulting company when they have just adjusted the algorithm, because we'll suddenly get, we'll get like 4, 5, 6 of the exact same complaint all at once, or within a day or so. And we're like, oh, I see. They're looking for this now. and so, but that's the thing. Amazon is a continuously improving company. And so they're always trying to figure out ways to enforce the rules, but they also have to automate it, because with over 2 million sellers on the platform, I mean, there's just no way they could handle it otherwise. And so, sometimes things are triggered by keywords. Sometimes, a lot of times with the product quality issues, Amazon is reading, the algorithm is reading, your buyer seller messages, your seller feedback, your product feedback, all the reasons for returns, and they're looking for certain keywords that trigger them to like, oh my God, we have a problem, or even sometimes just the reason the buyer chooses to return something. They say, we've had 5 people return this product for the exact same reason, we got a problem.
Right.
So that's how they work. And that's the way people get in trouble, mostly by not paying attention, or by not following or even understanding or knowing the rules. Excuse me. Not knowing the rules.
Mhm.
Um, and then, sometimes they get in trouble because they try to get around the rules. And, all of these different types of sellers, we call them clients. So,
Right, right. So that's a very good synopsis. Now, my perception is if you're in the more retail arbitrage space, it's the counterfeit claims are kind of the big issues that seem to plague people, and safety related. Well, so I guess safety would fit no matter what. And if you're more private label, it seems like people are more worried about review manipulation. Does that sound like a fair uh, assessment?
yeah. So with the arbitrage guys, they kind of get it from all ends because they're also very vulnerable to trademark infringement claims and things like that. And again, they're not selling, their own product. They're buying it in stores.
Right.
And then they're also subject to a lot of product quality issues because again, the product is not necessarily brand new. Maybe it's been sitting on a shelf for a while, maybe slightly imperfect. Um, and um, yes. And then if you're private label, if you create your own product or you're a brand on the platform, um, you've got, well, they tend to get in trouble more for review manipulation, because these are the guys, a lot of them who try to get around the rules. How can I get my reviews up? And so that's, yeah, we do see the brands hit with those a lot, but they have problems with product quality too sometimes, especially if there's an ingredient issue, like anything that goes on your skin, or that you eat, anything that goes in or on the body is, very vulnerable to product safety issues, right? Because they have to be very careful that anything on their platform is not going to hurt people. So we do see a lot more safety complaints for private label products.
That makes sense. And I know from like the standpoint of if you're selling something that goes on the body or you'd ingest or even electronic, that could be subject to um, concerns about safety. And it's also something that if I'm the buyer, I'm going to pay really close attention to what the reviews say. So I could see for that, or those niches, so to speak, that's something they really should be concerned about. Now, personally, I think a lot of sellers outside of those niches worry way too much about reviews, and they're constantly worried about getting more reviews, and sometimes borderline trying to game the system. What have you find happens when someone thinks they've found a way around getting to what Amazon's going to catch them, so to speak?
Well, every time there's a bright idea out there, I find out about it because they show up at my doorstep as clients. So Amazon's pretty smart. They catch a lot of things. But yes, there are fads that kind of go across Facebook in the seller community, and
Right.
everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
Yes.
And then, all of a sudden they start to get caught. Like I'll give you one example that just shocked me, that people were doing this, was that they were hiring people to create invoices for them. Like they were forging invoices. They wanted
Oh
to
God.
say to Amazon, "Oh, see, look, I have Apple invoices, I have Microsoft invoices," so they could get ungated in that category and they could sell those products.
Hmm.
And there's all kinds of wrong with that. I mean, not just from an Amazon terms of service perspective, but that's actually illegal what they're doing.
Right.
And so when Amazon started to catch them, and they come to me and I'm like, what were you thinking? I mean, I really shouldn't have to tell you that it's wrong to forge documents and submit them.
Right.
Um, but, and the thing is with that one was particularly painful because people who were getting suspended for that, we couldn't get them back. So Amazon had a zero forgiveness policy on that particular one. But, basically what I heard from my clients was, well, everybody was doing it, so it seemed okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt like someone saying, if Billy ran off the cliff, would you run off after him? So I felt like I
Yeah.
was having to be their mother.
Right. Exactly. The way I look at it is a lot of times sellers also complain about that there's gray areas and it's not really defined what to do. But I try to think that if you use the rule of, if I was in an elevator with Jeff Bezos and he said to me, tell me about your business, what what are you going to be not comfortable with? And if you're not comfortable telling him about something about your business, then chances are it's probably not something you should be doing. Does that sound like a fair statement?
Well, and I think particularly with the gray area stuff, because, I've had people say to me, oh, well, Cynthia, they haven't specifically forbidden this yet. I'm like, yeah, but you know what they're trying to accomplish. They don't approve of this. They just don't know about it yet. And when they do, they're going to take you down. And, so like I've seen people, stand up in front of large groups of sellers and say, oh, well, Amazon isn't coming after us yet. So, do this technique or try this. And, basically what they're saying is we haven't gotten caught yet. And
Right.
if someone's giving you that argument, you should really think hard about it, because it doesn't take long for Amazon to catch up. It's very risky. And, and like I said, a lot of the gray area, they will tighten up if they need to. Like a good example is the product review situation. Over the course of a year and a half or so, they tightened up that policy now to the point where you basically can't use any tools at all to get reviews besides the Amazon Vine program. Zero. You can ask for, if you're sending emails to your buyers, you can ask for a review
Hmm.
once. And it has to be really neutral.
Right.
And, and all this stuff. But they tightened that in because people were just pushing the envelope so far out, and they were using well, Amazon hasn't expressly forbidden it. And so Amazon said, fine. And they came in and they started forbidding it. And it was really um, painful to a lot of my clients. And they had, some of them had hundreds of reviews taken away overnight, just gone, stuff like that. So when Amazon comes in, it's not pretty. And, some sellers will say, well, I'm just going to make hay while the sun shines, and they can come in later and take it all back, but I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, it's your business. But I don't recommend it. Like you said, anytime you kind of think, oh, it seems a little confusing, I don't know, you're probably right. You probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, it comes down to, are you going with a short-term view or a long-term view? Because if you think it from a long-term view, Amazon has all these algorithms and really smart people and lots of resources and lots of bandwidth to go in
Hmm.
and check on stuff. And I still get emails as a consumer sometime from sellers who say, oh, are you happy? Yes, click this link. Maybe click another link, and then no, and click a different link, because what they're trying to do is direct me, either if I am happy to go leave a review, or if I'm not happy, contact them or leave seller feedback. And that, if I understand it, is pretty much a no-no, right?
Yeah, the reason why that's a no-no, I mean, on the one hand, that sounds actually pretty smart, right? Like, hey, we're here to help you. Click here for help, da 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 da. But what it does, and what they've discovered, is that what it tends to do is you have the people who are happy leaving reviews, right? And then you're pulling
Right.
away the people who aren't happy and encouraging them to contact you. And so what I tell people you need to do is break up your ask into two emails. So you might have the first email right after they get the product saying to them, hey, if you're not 100% happy, you let us know. We're going to take care of this for you. We're on your side, right?
Right.
And then you send an email later, a few days later, asking for the review. And you don't say if you're happy. You just say, can you help us out by providing feedback? We really value your opinion, or whatever you decide to say. But it's very neutral.
Hmm.
No if then statements.
Right.
And it's not tied to them getting help, right? So they've already gotten help if they need help,
That makes
supposedly.
that makes perfect sense, because and the way I look at it is, even if this particular seller is getting away with it now, it's gonna catch up to them at some point. They're gonna, to your point, there's going to be some change in the algorithm, and all of a sudden 4 or 5 people that are all doing the same thing, and that definitely makes sense as far as review manipulation. And I've done videos on this channel exactly, or explaining exactly what you're saying of how to send emails asking for review. Are you
Mhm.
completely happy? If not, send me a reply. Day
Right,
later, different email. Hey, we would love your honest feedback. It means a lot to us. Neutral.
right, right.
So,
That's the way it has to be done now. And I, by the way, Amazon has suspended plenty of people for doing it wrong. And so even though you may still get some that are wrong and they haven't caught them yet, believe me, they've taken down a lot of them. So it just, I don't know how long it takes the algorithm to work its way through 2 million plus sellers.
right. That's a good point. So, if your account gets suspended, is that pretty much final?
No, in most cases, Amazon will give you a chance to appeal, right?
Mhm.
And they'll give you a chance to sort of say, here's what happened, here's what I did to fix it, and here's my plan of action to make sure it doesn't happen again. And in a lot of cases, if you write a good appeal and they feel like, okay, you learned the lesson from this, they'll let you back. There are some things specifically they won't let you back for. Definitely fraud, um, uh, counterfeit, meaning real counterfeit. If you get a counterfeit notice um, and they let you appeal, then that's fine. All that means is somebody said that you had counterfeit
Right.
and they're asking you to prove that it's not counterfeit. But if they really suspect it's real counterfeit, and real counterfeit is like they went through their warehouse and your stuff is counterfeit, right? You can't even log into your account anymore. You're
Oh,
out,
wow.
you're done, that's over. But like I said, so that's real counterfeit. But when someone just says, oh, he's selling fake stuff, well, they're going to give you a chance to defend yourself.
Right.
Um, and then, yeah, so anything illegal, basically, they won't let you even attempt to appeal. But almost anything else, they will let you appeal. And, we've gotten people back with some truly tangled circumstances. Um, basically by writing a careful and thorough appeal. So, in that sense, Amazon's very forgiving, um, but it also can take weeks sometimes, and that really frustrates sellers because they want to be back selling now.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of
You don't wanna
course,
lose those days.
yeah.
So, sometimes, people probably did something they shouldn't do, or sometimes it was a false claim, but sometimes just the algorithm notices something that they didn't like at Amazon. So what are some things that you could do proactively just to stay on the good side of the algorithm?
Well, there's definitely some things that people can do proactively, and we help our clients do this also. Um, you know, uh, we call these suspension prevention services, and what you need to do is look every week at your what your buyers are telling you. So that means you're looking at your buyer seller messages, you're looking at seller feedback, you're looking at your product reviews if you're selling your own brand, right?
Right.
And you're looking at all your returns reports. And I tell people download the entire report. Don't just look at it on screen because the download report has more information than the one on screen. But what you want to do is sort that report by ASIN and then look at the ones that seem to be having a lot of returns. Look at what the buyers are saying when they're returning it. Are they complaining that the shirts are too small? Are they complaining that they got a rash when they used your product? Are they,
Right.
look at what's happening because if they expected something else, like they thought, oh, it might be that your listing, doesn't quite match your product. So these are the kinds of things that you can tell, like your buyers will tell you. And it's the same stuff that Amazon's looking at all the time. And so that way you can kind of try to fix problems before Amazon shuts your ASIN down or shuts your account down. So if you see like, wow, we're having a high defect rate on this product, well, you should stop selling it. Now it
Right.
sounds like that would be obvious, but I tell you, my clients never do. And I'm like, no, stop selling it till you can figure out what's going on. If you fix the problem, then you can keep selling it, right? But you got to figure out, why are they saying this? Why are they returning your product at such a high rate? Um, so, doing that kind of review every week really helps head off a lot of problems at the pass. There are some things there's just no way you can predict or avoid. If someone's going to file an infringement case against you, your only defense is to be prepared.
Right.
So if you have good invoices, um, if you have permission to sell that product on Amazon, if you vetted your supplier, then you're in good shape if somebody comes after you with an infringement complaint to say, oh no, not me. I followed the rules, right? So, and that's the way to get back the fastest um, from those kinds of complaints. And there's a couple others that are like that too, where you really just can't predict. They just boom, pop up. But that's what I would tell people, is just really be on top of your account. People who have really clean accounts, who fix problems when they come up, who make sure that they don't cancel orders, who keep their product in stock. These are the sellers that are not going to have problems with Amazon, or at least very few.
Right. That's a good point. And going back to your earlier point in there about stop selling a product, I had a product that around the holidays, or right after the holidays, I kept getting this email every couple of days. Hey, I bought XYZ product and it had this issue. Everything was great, but there was this issue. And they were always pretty understanding. And they were direct messaging me. It wasn't, I was getting a lot of refunds or 1-star reviews because of this, but it was like, it was getting to be over and over again. And what I ended up doing was, I had like 100 units of this product in stock, and I went ahead and, not the 50-cent send it back to me, but the full multi-channel fulfillment order to send it back to me, so that I didn't have to wait several months to send it back.
Hmm.
So I went ahead, sent it back to myself, all the units, and they, like, of the 100, let's say 80 had this particular issue. And it wasn't an issue with the factory, it was an issue with here. I whether it was me or someone I hired to do some final prep work with it, it was what caused the issue. And I'm glad I did that looking back. Like, yes, I lost, say, $200-300 to send the product back, and I lost the time, but I I didn't jeopardize my account. I didn't get a bunch of 1-star reviews. I didn't have a whole host of other issues, that could have happened, or I could have had the listing
Hmm.
suspended. So I stayed in control of the situation by taking proactive action. So it's a very good point you brought up there. So
Well, and that's what Amazon expects from its sellers. That's what they expect. They don't expect us to be perfect, but they expect us to be responsive.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So um, just to close, any closing advice that you'd like to give to sellers about staying in Amazon's good graces, for lack of a better word, or just keeping their account clean?
Well, like I said, really pay attention. The other thing I would suggest, because many people never did it when they signed up, is to download the contract and read it and understand that everything in Seller Central is part of that contract. So I always tell people, and I review it every year or so, and because they keep updating it, and I
Right.
need to remind myself because it's a long contract. It's 30 or 40 pages. But I tell people, read the contract, read any special rules for your category that you're selling in. Understand what the restrictions are. And people get in trouble for selling the dumbest stuff. Whereas if they just looked at the rules, they would have seen, oh, Amazon doesn't let you sell guns. Or
Right.
um, I had one guy who was trying to sell hand grenades, live hand grenades on
Oh wow.
Amazon.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, what? It's
That'll
just
blow
like,
up
what?
literally, figuratively.
I mean, we got him back and he
Yeah.
realized his mistake. But I mean, I just, I was like, okay, so read the rules. It is a long, it's a lot. But if you read it, you really understand it, it will help you avoid so many problems. And it will also help you when the next new fad or phase comes along. if the first thing you do is look at see what Amazon says about whatever it is, if it's reviews, what do they say about reviews? Or if it's, scraping the website to get client data off it or buyer data. That's forbidden. It's not allowed. And so things like that, if people would just read the rules, they actually wouldn't need me in a lot of
Right.
the cases. So that's one way I suggest that you guys avoid having to ever call someone like me.
Yes, very good point. Very good point. All right, so thank you so much for offering all that great advice, and hopefully, it's saved a couple of accounts by watching this.
I
But
hope so.
in case someone has something happen, or if they have questions or anything along those lines, where can they go to get a hold of you?
Okay, so the easiest way to get a hold of us is at egrowthpartners.com. That's our website, and you'll find our phone number there. We have a callback form where we'll call you back, and or you can email us at hello@egrowthpartners.com. So, and also you can look at our services there. We offer a lot of services beyond just reinstatement. We do prevention services, and we also do growth services. So for people who are looking to do advertising, to have special listings, an Amazon storefront, all those things. We love doing work for clients that are not in trouble,
Right.
um, but we'll help everybody. So that there's where you can learn more. And like I said, that's how you can get a hold of my team.
Awesome. And I'll go ahead and link to that down below. So if you found this helpful, please leave a comment as well. And if you have any stories that you'd like to share, please leave them in the comment section down below. So thank you so much, Cynthia, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.